Hey guys, welcome back. Takashi here, back with Duskbound. Now, this is actually my second time recording. The one I'm gonna be playing for you this time because actually I already recorded it before, but unfortunately my audio cut out. So I'll probably, and I actually did two endings on it, but one of them the audio was still there, and the other one it wasn't. So I might do some. We'll see what I'm gonna do with the editing with it. So I might just go ahead and just completely do a new one, just to keep it all one there, or I might edit it together. You'll see it when it ends up. You'll see what it is. But anyhow, what I decided to do is go ahead and skip past the parts that were already gone through, the parts that are gonna remain the same, and then just go about the parts that will be new. So for this one, what we're gonna do, we're gonna start with picking the same options we actually picked on the first playthrough here. So we just go through those. Of course, we already did that, so we can skip. And then we're going to ask about him instead here, which, if you know from original game playthrough, was actually the last option we had when we went to go out and confess our love, which sent us straight to an ending. So instead, we're going to ask about him instead here. Despite feeling confident earlier, I have lost my nerve. Thinking about how I compared him to my son makes me feel like an imbecile. Oh, how I would love to confess, but I cannot do it yet. Why did he have to ask me so brightly? I look into his captivating amber eyes and take a sip of my tea. I can't bear to lie to him. All I can do is avoid his inquiry by subtly changing the subject. Oh, but where are my manners? I haven't even introduced myself yet. My name is... Before I realize it, he's put his fingers to my lips. Our first touch, I can't suppress the faintest flutter of my heart. The chill of his cold skin lingers on my lips, even when he moves his hand away. It's not important. Not yet. I'll get to know you in many ways, and this one will be the last. I knew that there was something more to him. From the first moment I saw him, my fascination with him is only heightened by these mysterious digressions. Very well, I'll oblige you. In return, will you tell me your name? Again, I said this on the previous recording, which like I said, kind of killed itself. But I'm not entirely sure on how to pronounce this, so I just kind of winged it. Vigilius de Lanceroy. Vigilius. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. He sheepishly nods his head. I let his name swish around the inside of my mouth like wine. It's pleasant. Have you been living in this city for long? Oh, so very long. Longer than I can be bothered to remember. Tell me, have you ever tried to leave? Me? Leave? Where to? I mean, based on what I've heard, the journey past these city walls spells certain death for someone like me. I have tried. It's not the journey that is impossible. It's the very act of stepping outside the city walls. Some dark force wraps itself around me, enough to make me stagger and suffer, but never enough to kill. So like you, I have been stuck here, wanting nothing more than to leave, yet not knowing how. My eyes widen with curiosity. I've never heard of anyone who tried to leave this place. We all resign ourselves to our hopeless fate, and do nothing but pray to the one Lord that things will change, but they never do. Everything only falls into further disrepair. Yet still, I cannot shake that small grain of hope that embeds itself in my heart. I want to know what he has found. I lift my cup to take another sip of my tea, but I feel myself growing hazy. My attention slips. I do hope you I do hope the tea was to your liking. Well, we've been drugged, lads. We've been drugged. Muffled screams startle me awake, and as I desperately attempt to jolt up, I am met with a searing ache that grips my entire body. I can't see anything. A cold sweat runs down my back, and my breath hitches in my throat. My head swirls with questions as my situation sinks in. What happened? Where is he? How could he do this to me? I try to sit up, slowly this time. Only then do I sense the presence of a tightly yanked chain around my ankle. It allows for minimal movement, keeping me tethered to this wretched place. My eyes adjust as I feel my way around the room, hands moving against peeling wallpaper, gripping on fabric and accidentally knocking against wood. It's no dark, dank attic. It appears to be a fairly well-maintained guest bedroom. Perhaps it used to be someone else's. A melancholy thought. You're finally awake? I gasp involuntarily at the sight of him. Yeah, he's got blood dripping from his mouth. Don't be afraid, dear pale one. I would never hurt you. The sound of muffled screaming fills the air. Once more, and I recoil. What are those sounds? What are those sounds? And whose blood is that? Oops. Oopsie daisy, there almost mixed up my voices. Well, gotta be careful. He wipes the blood from his mouth, his face, and licks his finger in a smooth, practiced gesture as he draws closer to me. Up close and under dim lighting, I notice an almost otherworldly glow in his golden eyes. The faint scent emanating from him is nostalgic and somehow intoxicating. It's making my head spin. You must have heard the tales. Perhaps you dismiss them all as nonsense. But the Red Plague isn't always fatal. Those of us unfortunate enough to survive are changed forever. It is blood, and blood alone, that sustains us. You're a vampire? My breath gets more erratic as his face inches closer. Do I frighten you? I avert my eyes and look at the floor. I want to say that he does. Of course he does. Yet despite that, something inside of me still finds him beautiful. As I ponder my response, my eyes hover over the chain around my ankle. Could my judgment be clouded by his golden eyes and silver tongue? I yank the chain and muster the courage to look at him. Remove this chain immediately. Of course. If you promise to stay by my side, then I would be more than happy to do so. Of course. There's no way I can promise that. I know. I cannot ask that of you. That's precisely why the chain is necessary. Though it is charming that you would not even think to deceive me. He softly pats my head, and I instinctively back away from his touch. Apologies. I didn't mean to condescend. Please, pretend it didn't occur. Why did you do this to me? I suppose by now, there is nothing left but to be direct about my intentions. Dearest Pale One, won't you grant me some of your blood? Without the reason, I guess we only have one choice but to refuse. He wants my blood? Absolutely not. Who knows what will happen to me? I might even contract the Red Plague myself. There has to be a way out of here. As I contemplate the means of my escape, he takes my silence as an answer and sighs. Just please consider it. The both of us. I'll leave you be for now. Besides, I need to finish what I started. Finish what he started? You... you wouldn't hurt me, would you?
I'm sorry that it has come to this, charming, chaining you to this bed, to this room. But I promise I would never treat you badly. I need you. Please, make yourself at home. This room is yours to do with as you please.
As he starts to walk away again, I follow him for as far as my chains allow. Why am I doing this? Why do I yearn for him? I thought I was scared, but I don't know what to think anymore. Logic seeps through my fingers. My heart bounds after him. Standing in the doorframe, he turns around.
You to approach me this time. The fates have aligned, I'm sure. And for that, I am grateful. Thank you, my dear pale one.
Suffocating loneliness envelops the dreary room once more. I made my way back to the meticulously made bed and slumped down. Could I have known this would happen? What am I going to do? What can I do? The screams I heard in the distance grow louder and louder until they eventually stop, leaving in their wake a deafening silence more oppressive than their noise ever was.
Good morning, dear pale one. Will you offer me your blood today?
Alright, so, again, we can refuse once again or ask what will happen if you say no. Well, we've already refused once, so let's try a different round. I don't know why I guess I'm just saying that for effect, but yeah, like I said, I've already done it before. Unfortunately, it's not first reaction, but it's a good route, so I wanted to do it again. It's not like one of those dead-end routes where I'm like, I can just pass this one up. It's kind of like, it feels like one of the, I guess, I don't know if you consider it multiple canon, but like, it feels like a legitimate end route. If I refuse, will you take more innocent people's lives only to prolong your own?
You misunderstand. They're not people. Surely you have realized it by now. Here, where darkness reigns, emptiness echoes. We are the only survivors. They're lost to the cycle, pale one. They trudge on, possessed by something akin to instinct. But there's no soul left within.
I find myself at a loss for words. I cannot deny that I have thought the same thing he has. But it isn't right to reduce humans to nothing so easily. How can we know what goes on in their minds? How can you be so sure? Is it not mere arrogance to put yourself above everyone else like that?
I am entirely certain. Pale one, if we have walked through the same streets, came across the same husks, then we both bear witness to that fact. But it's just like you to still think of them as human. As being that still have hopes and dreams. I'm glad to see you still have that infectious optimism. It warms my heart. Good morning, dear pale one. I hope you slept well. Will you offer me your blood today?
Oh, same reasoning as the last. Ask why he wants.
I could tell you the answer, but you would not believe me. You never do.
So this one's actually only giving us one option. Promise to believe him. Then I promise to believe you.
That's not an easy promise to keep. Tell me, pale one. Would you want to save this city if you could?
To put an end to the eternal night? If we could bring things back to how they were, then surely that would be better. But they've tried so many things. It's nigh impossible to solve a problem if you don't know the cause. I'm taken aback as he laughs almost mockingly, though there is no amusement in his eyes. You know of the cause?
Ah, yes, the cause. Of course, I would know it, because I am the cause. This is my dreadful curse. Pale one, its only saving grace, the way it binds me to you. He glances out the window towards the red moon. You did promise to believe me this time. Please, help me understand you. Help me understand this curse. He closes his eyes and takes a moment to think of what to say, then looks at me with conviction. The flow of time is distorted in this place, which is why we cannot leave. We live in a pocket of the world governed by its own laws. Time folds and loops in on itself over and over and over again. It's not something the human mind was made to bear. With every passing reoccurrence, another loses their identity completely. I am the only one who is forced to remember it all, not allowed the luxury of forgetting. I am but a prisoner of my own memories. What he's saying is hard to swallow. It's a lot. I don't know how any of it could make sense, but I am determined to keep my promise. I've seen what he describes. No one is themselves anymore. Perhaps they're nothing more than husks after all. So you've lived through all of this only to see the world move further and further from its proper state? Gives a curt nod. I would like to believe that things do get better, that this city will be saved one day. That hope is becoming increasingly difficult to hold on to. The more I ponder it, the more it feels like a lost cause. I mean, what is the point in dousing a house that has already turned to ash? Even if we were to lift this curse, what is left to rise from its shadow? But you're the only constant. Your pure soul is enough to withstand the weight of time piling up. His soft smile takes on a different meaning to me now. He must have lived in the loneliest of worlds. If all he lives through isn't real to anyone else, then how could anyone else feel real to him? I've tried to approach you countless times, but somehow we are fated to end each other. The time rearranges without a care, and I am the only one who has to remember what we've been through. In recent cycles, I have kept my distance, for it hurts more to be with you than to simply watch from afar. That way, I thought I could be content seeing you about your day, seeing you alive and untainted by my deeds. Me, I'm nothing but a shadow of the man I once was. I too have lost myself, though not like the others. Their fate might be merciful compared to mine. This fiendish lust for blood has only intensified and makes me ashamed of myself. I grasped his shaking hands in mine, overcome with the desire to ease his suffering. Who would ever make up such a story as this? Why only tell me now? I am holding on to my promise in the deepest recesses of my heart, and that means discarding any doubt. Have you told me all of this many times before? It must not be easy to stay kind and patient when all your actions are brought to naught, time and again, and no one else remembers any of it the next day. I have tried to tell you many times, but without the right lead-up, it is doomed to fail. You might run from me or retaliate in violence. Sometimes you make fun of me, other times you grow frightened. I've seen almost every face you can make, but this kind of occurrence is rare. You looking at me with kindness. It is in many ways my greatest relief. But it's not new. It has happened before, A handful of times. Those loops are the most painful. I grow attached to you, only to lose you. That fated loss has not been overturned. So this time too, I'll resist the temptation to hope. My fingers trace the lines on his palm as he speaks. He does not stir, so he must not mind it. All I can do is listen in awe and hope that my warmth reaches him. But I am being unfair. I am only manipulating you by telling you one side of this tale. Pale One, my dearest. Inside of me, another impulse tugs at my sanity. I can feel that unwavering need, crawling under my skin, begging to be sated. I wish not only to have you for myself more than anything, I wish to ruin you. Knowing our inevitable final destination, why not let me be merciful and end you myself, knowing that it is out of love? Seeing you twist up and contort in pain, or letting you submit to the wiles of something primal and terrible, crushing the one good thing left in this miserable nightmare. I know that is all temporary, so why bother with decency anymore? Nothing means anything, and shame ceases to exist. It's no more real than a fairy tale to anyone but me. My downfall is mine alone to witness. As he speaks, he grips my hands tightly. His nails dig into my skin, but not enough to draw blood. I call your bluff. You're testing me. You're trying to scare me off before you find yourself actually caring again. None of this is a bluff, dear Pale One. It is all true. If you could see the fates I put you through, recall the things I have made you feel, you would not want me anywhere near you. You would loathe me. You're holding back even now, aren't you? Otherwise, you would have forcefully taken my blood. Your dedication is admirable. And if it matters to you so much, show me those fates then. I want to remember. If we're the only ones who will live through this tragedy, then I want to be there for all of it. My beautiful, innocent Pale One. Why have I yet to answer your question? In order to end this cycle of terror, I need your blood, for only yours can purify my curse. I have tried taking it forcefully, but it never works. You lose your purity. Indeed, you must offer me your blood without coercion, in faith and innocence. Then, and only then, will the curse lift and the eternal night end. And everything will return to how it was before? I'm afraid I cannot answer that, as I have never gotten to that point. We would have to wait and see. However, I do not believe the damage wrought can be undone. Those whose minds have been ground to dust will likely collapse physically as well. In fact, I do not know the effects of introducing a regular flow of time to those who have been in a closed loop for so long. Then isn't it dangerous? What about you or me? A vampire cannot live in the face of the sun, right? What kind of life would you even lead? Would you believe me if I said I hadn't thought of it? This whole time, I have been working towards an empty goal. I do not know what lies beyond it, but I have nothing else to try. That's not the right way for anyone to live. There has to be some point to all of this madness. How do you even know that this is the only solution? He told me. The one who orchestrated this ordeal. Before he left, he told me that you were the key to all of this. I didn't understand the significance of any of it at the time. In fact, I didn't even realize what had happened.
And here, I thought, this was all your fault.
He laughs humorlessly again. But I am the villain all the same.
Aren't you playing right into his hand by following his command? Don't you want to defy the one who took everything from you?
I know that expression. It's one I used to wear. Of course, by the time I realized the inescapable gravity of my fate, I was furious. My rage was an unquenchable flame. But time dulls all senses, and there is no direction for this feeling. I took it out on you many times, but that only made me feel worse, each passing loop.
Of course, he knows. Of course, who knows how long it has been for him? Perhaps he himself can no longer keep track. The feelings of someone who might as well be an outsider hearing this for the first time can't begin to compare. I don't think it's right, any of this. His acceptance of his role as some great evil is saddening. I won't have it. But what can we begin to do?
I couldn't possibly care about lifting this city's burden. Now that I've told you all this, it might be enough for me. It feels like some weight has been lifted off my shoulders. You truly are skilled at keeping your promises.
It is but one of my many talents. Surely, through all this time, you must have seen them in action. For example, fearlessly going through with plans anyone else would have deemed too absurd to attempt.
Such as ending up in my doorway without having spoken a single word to me before.
Maybe.
What on earth were your intentions?
Don't make fun of me.
How could I ever?
I came to confess my love.
You don't leave me speechless too often anymore. It'll be quite the shame when I have to part from you this time.
Who says we have to?
Oh? You would grace us with even more absurd plans?
We can be tied together for all eternity by forgetting about this tragedy and denying the mastermind the payoff he's waiting for. I pull him towards me, and with my mouth close to his ear, I speak in a hushed voice. I know of the tales they tell. For once, we can make this red plague, our blessing. Let me have your blood instead, to become what you are, and to stay here by your side forever.
You don't know what you're saying. You would throw everything away for me.
That is what I came here to do in the first place. In fact, what do you believe I am throwing away? There's nothing here, nothing left. Not for me, nor for you.
I have tried to take control of my destiny many times. I've kept my distance in hopes it would afford you peace. I have lost hope entirely. But I suppose I have never tried submitting to your will. What do we stand to lose?
Less than we stand to gain. The sensation of sinking your teeth into someone's neck is a strange one. It takes a lot of determination to pierce the skin, to muster the courage to follow through. I have never been one to hurt others, but I know this pain I inflict is entirely desired, and based on his reaction, I dare say it is somewhat pleasurable. It makes me happy. I never knew how good it would feel, and the taste of his blood is nostalgic.
Helios.
Will you be mine?
Always was, dear pale one. Always was.
Embracing the night in 5. Alright, and actually, that, it's just about 30 minutes, so perfect for the length of an episode. So guys, we saw quite a bit in that one. We learned a little more about the loops, more about the backstory. But we are far from over because we have ending 3 and ending 5. Now, actually, I've gotten ending 2 in my previous playthrough, but I figured it'd be more concise to do. Now, if you look at the CG gallery, these are 2 of them, but there's still 3 left. So that means even with the other ending I got, we actually didn't get any CGs, and we didn't get any from the first ending either. So we have to try some other ones. I have a feeling that the other ones might be kind of messed up, but we'll see. Because they're like, you have to do with panicking and refusing and all that stuff. And we did get a warning that there was some non-con stuff, so yeah. Anyhow, we'll have to see in the next episodes, which I certainly plan to record, as I have quite enjoyed this game so far. It's definitely been different going the Otome route, but I want to go through all of the good Yandere games before I run out, whether they be from a male perspective or a female perspective, just kind of going through that, and then after that we'll look into other opportunities. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching. I love you all, and I'll catch you in the next one. Laters.